Welcome back to Marvel Maniac and MCU Aftershow. This is your host, Eric Cicada, aka Mr. Honest, back with you for Daredevil, Episode 7, Art for Art's Sake. Okay, this was maybe the best episode of the series, Born Again, in my opinion. It's definitely in the realm of maybe favorite Daredevil episodes, like a top 3 to 5 at most. I gotta say, it depends on what happens afterwards, but I felt like this was what could have been a wasted opportunity, which some people might see this as. I'd see the way the episode ended was very poetic, and I think it's really nice we can have a contained story inside of the one about Matt Murdock versus Wilson Fisk. That's the overall arc, but we had to have a Muse, and that's what this episode was all about. Daredevil is fully back and active. He's racing to stop Muse in this episode before he can kill it again. Obviously, what he saw at the lair, he only saw so much because he was beating the heck out of him the whole time, and he got away. And last time Fisk was beating up Adam, Vanessa's secret lover. And I when I watched that again the other day, I wasn't sure, but he put him back in his cage. I think he might have lived. I thought he killed him, but I think he might have lived. I don't know. That's not really talked about this episode. A big moment is when we find out Mrs. Fisk, Vanessa, the love of Wilson Fisk's life, she has a hit out on him by the same sketchy guy who came to his office last episode. I mean, he's not a sketchy guy. He's one of his business associates, but definitely not a guy of the political world. Like, his presence in the building that Fisk works is like disturbing because he gives off that energy. But yeah, shocking moment, but even more shocking when Fisk bodyguard he kills the hitman literally without Fisk flinching. He didn't flinch a second. Shows kind of the badassery of Wilson Fisk and also the people he hires. He was talking about how he hired that guy, his partner. I think we'll learn more about him because he is a good shot. And I'm worried about him against Daredevil at one point, if that ever happens. So the psychological weight of this episode, both Matt and Fisk, they're spiraling in different directions. Heather, Matt's therapist girlfriend, she even was a therapist to Wilson Fisk himself and Vanessa. She becomes the emotional core of this episode, the damsel in distress, as you might traditionally call her. But most stories don't usually go that way. I know, right? Weird. That was a bad reference, and I knew I shouldn't have done it. So I'm trying kind of a new format structure for my podcast. I don't know if you've noticed, if you've been listening to the last few episodes. We're always trying to change things, always trying to make the podcast the most entertaining and fun it could be. It's always fun for me to switch things up. I know sometimes people don't change for years. I'm the type of person who needs a little change every few months. You may see new podcast art soon because I just really love the fresh feeling of new podcast art. What are your thoughts on the new format? Email me, MarvelManiacPod@gmail.com. We also have a community we're starting, and patreon.com/MarvelManiac. Join us, Marvel Maniacs and Avengers alike. Now that we went through a couple big moments, let's go to some even other big moments. Let's break down the episode. Matt and Heather's relationship has been kind of slowly growing over the series. It deepens in this episode by a lot. I'd say they're probably pretty serious now, or she's going to find out he's Daredevil sooner than later, whether he tells her or not. And that might just be Matt saying, I can't be with you because I'm Daredevil again, or her saying, I can't be with you because you're Daredevil. One of the two. Or maybe it won't come between them, but I just have a feeling that it will. I mean, they brought the big I love you out this episode. So the therapist in her, I like how she calls Matt out at the beginning of the episode, after they had fun in the shower. So they're really hitting it off. And she calls him out for repressing his emotions and how it kind of all boils to the top. That's so real. Anyone dealing with mental health issues or just any type of emotional situation can kind of relate to that. And at this point in the episode, we had no idea that it was going to end with her in the dramatic way that it did. Muse is the artist of death. I watched a YouTube video about this villain a week before the episode last week that introduced him in the very same way that they did in the comic books, which I watched on a YouTube channel, which I don't know the name of, but I should give credit. It's this guy who like puts comic book art up and like kind of describes what happens in the comic books. And I'll tell you what, he always just like pops on after all my videos are done. And I can think his laugh goes like, like he laughs the same way every time. And I'm not saying that as a bad thing. Laughter is joy. Joy is contagious and all that. Anyway, back to the plot. Muse visits Heather, reveals his name is Bastion. Well, reveals to us his name is Bastion. They even give us his last name. It doesn't really matter, but he does share his background in Taekwondo and passion for art. But the thing is, I like that they did that. I like that they had him be a Taekwondo. Like there's an actual reason that he was able to like go toe to toe with Daredevil last episode and later this episode. The guy can fight. He's trained in it. Seems like he can be so obsessive over something that he can master it. That's what she's trying to do with, the situation here in the city and the many murders and lives that are under his belt. This is one of the most brutal villains we've seen in the series, and one of the most comic booky and just kind of world breaking thing for Daredevil to deal with on his first run with Disney Plus. It feels structured well. The last 2 episodes, I'm assuming, are going to revolve a little bit around Matt's relationships and the relationship between Fisk and Matt. They're going to come together at the end. I think it'll be at like the diner. I think it's going to be a safe place for them to meet. I don't think that Wilson Fisk is going to go toe to toe with Daredevil this season, and that story is going to be over. It's already known that they're filming Daredevil Born Again season 2. So at least they're getting those in the bag. And it seems like, unlike some franchises that I know, I'm not going to say it, not Marvel, but you got to have a plan going in. If there's no plan, what are we doing here? There's a chilling moment where he performs for Heather because he has a bloody nose, Muse, and he draws it with his blood. And you can read Vanessa's aura and just like her whole vibe shifted when he's doing this because it clicked for her. You could see it. She's a phenomenal actress. I'm sorry, I don't know your name off the top of my head. Phenomenal. And I thought she played the scene about him revealing who he is very well. And he knocks her out, and she wakes up to him being in full attire, a full Muse costume. Muse believes death is art, and having such a soulless villain up against such passionate individuals like Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock, both trying to handle it in their own ways, butting heads along the way already. Fisk is already getting a little annoyed by some of the antics of Matthew Murdock. Well, Daredevil now. It is so good to have Daredevil on the streets again, fighting crime. So this guy, before he puts his costume back on, Bastion, he basically, like, I think he's in love with Heather in a way, but the way he loves is by killing and painting with their blood. So Heather is very aware of this. Muse believes Heather understands him and no one's understood him. And he kind of goes on this rant about how she kind of unlocked it in him. Like pretty much what, in my opinion, I'm pretty sure she would have picked this up. I think he was telling her, I did all this art because you freed my mind to be able to create what I've always wanted. He has no shame in what he's done. He has no guilt, no remorse. He can't stop. This is just a different type of villain that needs to be stopped. And it's the perfect villain to bring Daredevil back in the game, in my opinion. The fight between Muse and Daredevil and the ending with Heather shooting him, but like the fight, so well choreographed, so awesome. And so much fun. This is what I say about action scenes. Really cool. That was just really cool. Of course, it was really cool, but it was also emotional, epic, brutal, terrifying, all of it. And I was I'm very humbly surprised at how Muse was able to hold up to Daredevil last episode. But knowing he knows Taekwondo now, it just gives you a different perspective. And some of those little moves he's making, he's not just accidentally being a super slick bad guy. He has a little bit of backstory added for that today. So I can appreciate that. This fight was one of the best of the series. I think with the Disney Plus, a little bit of bigger budget on the show, they're able to do a little bit more with the choreographing or the fights and how they play out, and just the way a body double can do like some extra things Matt wouldn't normally do, like the way he broke those guys' legs last week at the bank heist. Oh my goodness. So Heather shoots him, right? And he's already like cut into her skin very deeply to get her blood, which is just very disturbing. And it's just hard to underplay how disturbing that actually is. She knows that she's going to die pretty much. I mean, she doesn't know Daredevil's going to come save her. And she even tells him bravely, anyone who needs a mask is a coward, just to get to him. I don't think Matt would take it as personally, but I don't know if it's about that. I think it might just be about she might find out about Daredevil and might be really against it, and maybe even go as far as being a threat to outing him, his identity, because of what Muse did and represented, and someone wearing a mask. She even said it makes a coward. So we'll see what happens with that. I have a feeling it's not just going to be back to paradise between Matt Murdock and Heather. We'll find out. There's 2 episodes left this season and no more doubles. So 2 weeks from now, we will be watching and talking about the finale. My other favorite line actually comes like a few minutes before anyone who needs a mask is a coward. Muse saying pretty much like, I know you know, and I know you're thinking right now, can I make it to the door on time? And then he just like kind of jumps at him. That's maybe one small criticism is like every time we see him interacting with someone he's about to jump, we don't see it. We just see him like jump. And like we just assume that, I don't know what he did. Did he knock her out with the brick? Like, did he punch her? What did he do? Same with the girls last week. But no, I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much. That's what I'm critiquing. The show's doing very well. But yeah, I honestly think that near-death moment for Heather, with how important she is in Matt's life right now, along with the idea that she did say she remembered someone else being there, like Daredevil. Yeah. Vanessa manipulating that sketchy guy, that's like the biggest highlight for Fisk this episode. I mean, he had his task force one step behind Matt Murdock the whole time, and he takes the credit. He takes the credit away from Daredevil, gives it to his task force. I couldn't tell if it was Fisk or one of his men holding up Muse's mask. And Fisk did that thing he did when he fixed the pothole. He's like, I told you I was going to fix it, and I did. I've been working on my Fisk accent, and I don't think it's right, but God, I like doing it. Sorry. So Fisk knows Daredevil took down Muse, right? He knows it's Matt Murdock. In a way, like certain enemies or villains, they can have like a mutual respect for each other. Fisk doesn't go for Matt at the identity just yet. He's not outing Matt as Daredevil. He's not. The consequences he's going to put on Matt as the devil of Hell's Kitchen, they're going to be deeper than just him calling him out on his name. And I don't know if that's respect or more just like on a rule he goes by morally in the criminal underworld. But just remember, Fisk almost, really, in my opinion, almost died, but he was so safe with his bodyguard, and Vanessa was the one who called for it. And he even said, tell Vanessa, blah, blah, blah. Did he know that Vanessa sent that guy? He seems so ready for it. And if that's the case, Fisk, why are you still with her? They need to get out. They need to break up. We know that's not going to happen. There's going to be some tension boiling over this last 2 episodes with Fisk, Vanessa, and even, yes, Daredevil. Buck is this new assistant to Fisk. I think we should be looking out for him. He's going to be a threat in the future. Because like Fisk was like, how I found you or something like that. So I wonder if his backstory will be revealed or explored in the little time we have left, sadly, already in this season of Daredevil Born Again. So Fisk so as I was saying, Fisk doesn't out Matt. He just does a power play. He knows that Muse and Daredevil fought, but he takes all the credit. They hold up the mask on TV at the end of the episode. That moment also where Fisk's assistant, who he like let go for making that mistake last week. He was totally threatening BB, the reporter who is doing these interviews on the street. We've been seeing most of the series up until this episode, none of them today, if I'm correct. And he threatens her big time. He's becoming like a mini Fisk. He might be like a young Avengers villain, kind of like Baby Bowser type stuff. Sorry. I'm not going to say sorry for that. I'm saying sorry too much. Would you agree? MarvelManiacPod at gmail.com. I joke, I kid. This episode, well, it could have been taken like a way more dramatic, serious tone. A lot was at stake, but it felt more like I feel like I'm stuck talking like Wilson Fisk right now. It felt like the best part of a movie. You know what I mean? Where just the action's happening and the plot's moving fast, and you're just so into it, you're not really even thinking about much more than what's going on in this episode. So it was a good watch. And the idea of them killing Muse so early, I mean, he's been around probably majorly for 3-4 episodes, the last 2 being the biggest. Not all villains, including the best ones, stay alive. The thing is, they couldn't have had him stay alive. What they could have done is they could have sent him to Rikers or a super facility. I don't know if he'd even deserve that in some people's opinion because of how many people he shot. I think he killed more people in the Battle of New York canonically did. That's insane. And honestly, let's be honest, like there was at least 100 casualties from the Battle of New York. I'm not obsessed about this stuff, okay? I promise. Fisk is the winner of this whole thing. And I think this is a Kingpin move here. Okay. He feels, this is how he feels himself. Like he needed a win. And the way he was able to do that was to take it away from Daredevil. Personally, I don't think Matt Murdock would care as Daredevil about the credit going to him. I think he just wants to save people. If I'm right, if I'm wrong, he's changed a bit. Sorry, I'm reading the same talking points over and over again. So, key takeaways. Muse, he was a terrifying villain. One of the most intense villains we've seen in the MCU, if we're being real, right? So, he went out like a giant firework. It was a big explosion in a short amount of time. Heather forever changed. The love story with Matt and Heather now is very complicated. I don't know if the fact that she has been therapist to Fisk and Vanessa is going to be even mentioned or brought in. Will Heather figure out that he's Daredevil? I think so. I actually think so. Fisk continues to move in the shadows, letting others act while he shapes his own narrative, and he's making himself look good. I think Fisk will be on the up. And, one point of this episode I said, or it was recently, I had mentioned Fisk is going to actually go full villain. Like someone's going to die like Vanessa. But he's really being propelled to full villain by Daredevil and the task force he created. Like that's a giant step. And like he has pretty much his own little army now. So I would like to see Daredevil going up against some of these vigilante cops. No, that's not what they are. Dirty cops, right? Just like the army, the police chief said last week, the worst of the bunch. You couldn't have picked worse guys. All the bad eggs, and those are the guys Matt might be fighting in the last 2 episodes. I would really prefer it not to be 2 more out of suit, quiet, plot-filled episodes. I think as an audience, we've earned a full Daredevil action sequence still. I think Daredevil should be involved doing crimes. I don't care how, he should be doing stuff as Daredevil in the next episode, majority of the time, in my opinion. But we shall see, right? Vanessa may play a bigger player than we realized, and she's not on Fisk's side, or she does that. They do that maybe for fun once a month, just to, shake it out. Daredevil consistently suited up means a lot to me. I just love it. I like the classic rat he's been going with. I would love to see him put on that one from She-Hulk. I like that costume. It was a different version for him. I hope we get to see that. In this episode, there weren't any direct MCU crossovers, but this feels like kind of the best of the Netflix version of Daredevil, just reborn. And I think the Vanessa and Fisk plotline might be big, like huge. So that could be the season 1 climax. I mean, the fact that she already tried to have him killed, that kind of starts it off. And it's going to be probably talked about in the next episode, right? BB versus Fisk assistant. I don't know. I don't remember that guy's name, but he's a great actor. He's James Gandolfini's from The Sopranos' son. So he's got acting in his genes. He's very good. There could be this could be like seeds for more media attention next week. Like Fisk, he said he would never do it again to Fisk. Yet maybe by playing hardball with her, he's gonna call Fisk out again. Like she can call Fisk out by being threatened by his staff. That will not look good for the assistant. He might be in trouble. Okay, so what's gonna happen these next 2 weeks? What do you think of Muse? Was he too dark? Was he just right for the first big Daredevil fight aside from Bullseye? Do you trust Heather, or do you think she's hiding something too? I don't know what she'd be hiding, but like, is she hiding that she knows Matt's identity? Is she seeing it already? And was Fisk just lying low, or is he planning something even worse? What's his game plan? Something he hasn't told anyone on screen yet. His real plan, aside from his honesty of saying, I want to make this city a better place. I love New York. And the best villains are justified to themselves because they see themselves as the hero. And that's why Fisk is making a great street level Thanos. MarvelManiacPod at gmail.com with all your thoughts on this episode and where do you think the story might go going forward into season 2 and these last 2 episodes, more importantly. We have a Patreon now, like I mentioned earlier, patreon.com/MarvelManiac. Very simple, trying to build a community on there. And once we get some people in there, I'll be recording exclusive mini episodes weekly for Patreon subscribers. And there's also a tip jar in my About section. Anything helps. MarvelManiacPod at gmail.com. Like I said, I can't say, don't even hesitate. Like, you're welcome to email me. Plenty of people email me there. Trust me, it's blowing up. Not many have emailed. You are completely welcome to just give me your theories, or if you didn't like my take, or if you have a different take, I want to know it. And what do you think about tell me Fantastic Four. I got some Fantastic Four shirts coming in the mail. I'm pretty freaking excited about that. There's a lot of things coming up in the MCU, but more importantly, just 2 weeks left of Daredevil Born Again. It's been my pleasure to be here with you today to talk about this episode. Did you enjoy your stay? I hope you did. It's very important to me. And the fact that you listened all the way through, you are the real one, the real MVP. Thank you so much. Get connected with us on social media at MarvelManiacPod on most of your social media platforms. We're also streaming everywhere you can get your podcast. So what you can do to help, if you would like to help at all, tell a friend. Just send a good episode to them. And hopefully we can build this community together. And I promise it'll be a beautiful New York City. And I'm not making fun of him. I actually wish I could do the direct accent. We'll try. I'll try a little harder for next week. You have a wonderful week. We're going to see you again this Friday. I'm going to be talking about the new Spider-Man movie name release, and we're going to speculate, and that's going to be really fun. We've been watching Spider-Man in our off time, so it's going to be a fun little what's going to happen next for Spidey. Lots to talk about, including the announcements of the cast of Doomsday, Avengers Doomsday, and man, it really looks like they're actually gunning for that release next summer. They want it to happen. Spider-Man next summer too. So lots to talk about. We will next week, and for Daredevil fans, we got a lot in store for us in these last 2 episodes. So I'm excited. I haven't seen them, but I just know it. It's in my heart. I will see you next week. Thank you again. All the love to you. And until next time, Avengers, disassemble.